Hey, it's a great expression. It takes a village to raise a child, but here we're going to talk about that. How to do it well. I want you to think about your kids, but not just your kids. I want you to think about your nieces and nephews. I want you to think about your kids' friends, the kids that you are spending time around, the kids that kind of in your community, because children, they don't need just great parents. They need a great village. Us parents, we're going to provide the foundation for these kids. We're going to be the normal, loving ones. And then we're going to bring all these other characters, trusted adults, colorful adults, imperfect, loving people around our kids. And we're going to create a village. And that is what we're going to talk about today. How to do that well, the challenges of it, the weirdnesses of it, why we don't do it, why it's hard to parent other people's kids, how to do it right, all that stuff, Jordan.
And I think that the interesting thing about this topic, Sean, is like, this is going to happen whether you try to make it happen or not, right? Other people are going to influence your kids, whether you give them the approval to or not. Because most of the time, let's be honest, your kids are out of the house, they're at school, they're maybe under other people's supervision, and they will be influenced by those people. So it's not like I can run around as a parent and be like, hey, is it okay if you be a mentor to my child? He really needs another parental figure, right? It's not like you sign a document that says I will do this. Like, it's going to happen. And I think what you're saying is like us parents can be in charge of like how we organize that in a way. Like, okay, this seems like a good coach, or this seems like, and sometimes you're going to be in a situation where you have no say. Like, the English teacher could be a terrible person, but you know what? That's this year, you got to do it. But hopefully we get to like help organize this group a little bit more than sometimes others.
Well said. I like what you said. I didn't know you were going to say that. It really got me thinking about some things, because everyone agrees with these catchphrases. It takes a village to raise a child. And everyone agrees it's good to have good Boy Scout, Girl Scout, church leaders, soccer coaches. Right. But I mean, most of us aren't those things at all. And most of us, I feel like I can speak for most of us. We feel kind of uncomfortable with the idea of parenting another child, or mentoring, or disciplining, right? That is like kind of awkward.
It can be tough. Like, where is it where I don't overstep my boundaries? Maybe you give me more freedom and flexibility with your kids, but my neighbor Roy won't. He doesn't want me, talking to them at all.
Right.
Or on the other side, I just met a gentleman this last weekend, and I felt terrible. I just met him. I was like, oh, who are those boys playing with my son, Kinlan? They were throwing the football with him. He's like, oh, those are my nephews. I'm like, oh, that's so cool. 3 brothers. It seemed like they're bonding. He's like, yeah. He's like, but my brother just passed away like a couple years ago suddenly. And he's like, and they have no father figure in their life. And I live 2,000 miles away. And I want to be there and be like a parental figure for them. But it's too hard for me because I'm too far away. So that can be difficult too.
Yeah. So there's 2 reasons why I wanted to do today's podcast. One is because I feel like I'm like regularly having these, how do you call them, instances, experiences, dramas with other people's kids. Like, I had one in my home 2 nights ago. I said specifically to these 2 boys, we had about 4 or 5 families over. We just got back from this epic backpacking trip in the high country outside of Yosemite. We saw bears, crazy granite. It was so scary and adventurous, and couldn't find the trail at times. So then we all met up at the house afterwards, and our wives were there, and all these kids were there. And I said specifically to these 2 boys who wanted to drive, like, we have one of those Hot Wheel cars that you can drive. It's like a white Corvette.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, those are fun.
So my daughter's car, and what normally has happened is these boys are super rough on it, and they'll probably put like 2 or 3 boys on the car, and then it breaks.
Right. And then you launch it off a cliff, because why not, right? I get it. Yeah, I get it.
Well, then it breaks because it's too much weight. So I'd already fixed it once. So I said specifically to the boys, like, hey, can we drive the car? And I'm like, of course, man. I got a whole bunch of toys for you guys. I want you guys to have a great time when you're here at my house. But I just got one rule on the car. One rule. Only 1 kid at a time. All right? You can't jump on here with 2 guys. I know that's fun. You got it? Yes. Okay, you got it. Only 1 boy at a time. So then I'm in the jacuzzi, relaxing with the dads and the moms, and I look over, and what do you see? Dude.
Oh no!
What do you
They're
see?
playing little circus clown.
They are
14 circus people on one bicycle.
Dude, I'm like, those freaking punks. And then, so then what happened was, okay.
I'm sure you got upset. It broke.
A family.
Your daughter is probably coming. Like, Daddy, they broke my toy. Yeah.
A family got up to leave, and then the mom came back like 10 minutes later, and they said, Sean, these two boys have something to tell you. And then one was like holding back the tears, like, and I'm in the jacuzzi.
And what age group are these boys?
These about
so we
10.
Can picture this.
About 8, 9, and 10. 8, 9, and 10. Well, we were driving. We were driving the car, and we were being safe. But the wheel broke off. And then I said, "Oh, okay, it broke off. Well, what happened? We just don't know. It broke.
We just don't know.
It broke." And I said, "Well, I know that the car normally doesn't break unless, two people were driving on the car because all the weight. And I know you guys wouldn't do that, right?"
Do that?
I said
of course
that.
Not,
I said
that
it.
was my rule. Okay.
I said you wouldn't do that, right? And they just stared at me in silence. No. And then I looked at the other boy who wasn't doing the talking, and I know that boy very well. I talked about that boy on this podcast. He's like one of my best friend's sons.
Yeah.
And he's just sitting there and quiet. And I said, yo, you. I'm not going to say his name because I don't have permission to say his name. He's only, 10 years old.
Yeah.
I said, you know the rules. You wouldn't put two boys on that, would you? And then thankfully,
purposely making it awkward so they have to confront you.
They did not lie. So they told the truth. Like, well, we did. We did. And then I'll tell you what happened after that, because there's a lot of drama after that. Good drama, but I think it's like, this is like, what do you do when, you have people over your house and some kids are misbehaving, acting out? What do you do when your son, what do you do when your friend's son is like being mean to your daughter or bullying your daughter, or your friend's older son is bullying your younger son? Or what do you do when you have these little kids around the house and they're not being parented? They're out of control while your kids are kind of respectful. What do you do with all this stuff? Now, the second reason why I wanted to do this episode is because I wanted you to all think back. Jordan, I'll put you on the spot. Let's both do it. Think back to when you were, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Prime formative age years. Who in your life was like kind of like not a parent, but they were like a mentor to you? They tell us some of those. Because Jordan, you actually were so blessed. You have a lot of names. You have a lot of names. It is like your names. I don't know many people that have as many names as you have. Tell us, who are some of the non-parental people in your life? Could have been a coach, a neighbor, uncle, someone
Uncle's
from church.
A good one.
Who do you got?
Yeah, I've got several uncles on my mom's side. Brought me under their wing and showed me the outdoor world, and we spent a lot of time with them, and they always gave me advice, simple things. Like, I remember one of the earliest advice pieces I got from one of my uncles is like, hey, if you ever find spare change, keep it in a little jar, because I had a passion of rock climbing with them. And he's like, you could eventually buy your own harness if you just keep collecting. If you go to a guest house, look, this was back when we had change. Go into their seat cushions and look for change that have fallen out of pockets. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so funny. But I remember that. Or and that was on the family side. You could say I had coaches that were somewhat of a parental figure or a figure. I had a couple stepdads as I was growing up, and I would call them that. You got introduced into my life in the 9th grade, so you were an older brother figure almost. You could say something like that. I had a teacher in high school where I would say he helped almost shape a part of my career. He and she. I had 2 teachers that helped guide me a little bit.
Wow, so many.
There's a lot that you can kind of piece together to help form who I am.
It kind of makes you wonder, let's say you had a really, really tough teen years, really tough. Maybe you made a lot of bad choices. I wonder if part of the reason why is maybe you didn't have these people in your life. Maybe if you made a lot of good choices in high school, like Jordan did, Maybe it's because you had a lot of these people in your life. That's, I guess,
Maybe.
a personal
Could you also
question.
say that, like, could you also say to some of these people, I was willing to listen, therefore they were willing to give me advice? I mean, how many times have you tried to give advice or wisdom to a kid who's like, oh, well, I don't care, or
Right.
why are you telling me this? Like,
Right.
and then you're like, well, then I'm not going to share anything with you
Right.
anymore. If you're not going to be receptive, then what's the point of me trying to go down a limb to help out? So I
That's
think that is
true. But how
also
about
to the
this?
kid.
But what about this? What about, like, you tell your kid the same thing 10 times. Some
Right.
other person tells your kid one time, and your kid's like, oh my gosh, guess what this person
Right.
told me?
Yeah,
So,
that's true.
So there's something in, like, kids listen to non-parentals, right? People
Have you
who,
ever gotten a situation or someone's come to you and said, hey, Sean, I'm sure this happens to you all the time. I don't know why I'm asking this, but hey, I've been trying to do X, Y, or Z forever. Can you hop in and do it? And then the kid actually listens to you more than them.
So yes, and I don't know. I don't think. How do I say this? I think that you don't need to be the family coach to do that. You
Right.
don't need to be a teacher, a therapist, to do that. And that's why we're doing today's episode. So I have some stats that I want to share. And I hope that as you listen to this, I hope in the next 20 minutes, you're kind of like a changed person. You have more confidence. You have more knowledge about how you're going to step in and be a parent and be a guide, be a mentor in the kids who are in your circle. Does that sound good?
Right. Yeah, that sounds great.
So check this out. We got a few things we're going to talk about. The first thing we're going to talk about is trusted adults dramatically improve a child's resiliency. Yes, there is stats on this. One of the most respected organizations in youth development is called the Search Institute. They spent more than 30 years studying millions of people. Well, what have they found? Well, one of the things that they found in their research is that other adult relationships, yes, as in their research shows, children do better when they have supportive relationships with caring adults beyond their parents. Kind of what that means is the research doesn't say kids only need great parents. It says kids need great parents and a community of caring adults. So we're talking about lower depression, higher relationships, higher confidence, better academic outcomes, greater and better emotional regulation. This all sounds good.
So kind of reaffirm my thought process on this. If I'm a parent, let's say I'm a mom or a dad, and I am trying to get through to my kid, boy or girl, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what age.
Yeah.
It's not happening. Let's say you have a spouse. You're lucky enough to have a spouse. Okay, your turn. You try.
Yeah.
You're doing everything you can. It's not working. Whether you're a single parent, married, doesn't matter. Is it okay for me to now go to a friend and say, hey, would you help talk to
Yes.
my son or daughter because it is not getting through,
Dude.
and maybe it'll get through with someone else?
Oh my gosh. Yes. Let me ask you, if one of your friends came up to you and says, hey, Jordan, would you mind taking my son out to frozen yogurt and just talking to him? How would you,
Right.
would you,
I'd feel honored. I'd be like, really? You want me?
wouldn't that be the
fine.
best feeling?
Yes. Yeah.
So
Yeah, now I hope I would do it right, not like screw up with whatever I needed to do. You're
Right.
like, wait, you want me for the role? I'm the main character in this thing? I can't, do this.
Yes.
Right.
Right. So this is, as you know, I work with a lot of families in a lot of pain. I mean, that's so much pain. And when you're in a lot of pain, we get to know these families and we ask them questions. So one of the questions that I'll ask is, do you have anybody in your life who can help us out here? And it's so sad how many people say no. They do not have that village.
Yeah, that's sad.
It is sad, and also it is sad, but let me say something, and maybe you're better at your words often, so maybe you can help me say it in a more kind way. How do I want to say it? Like, don't let that be you. Like, do not let that be you. So your kid is 12 years old, 14 years old, and
Doesn't have someone
you
else.
don't have anybody. Like, how are you living your life? Like, what are you doing with your life? Like, change your life. Make some freaking friends. Deepen your relationships. Get some
Yeah.
people around your kids and yourself and your community. Do not watch so much dang TV and work
Right.
so much, and get your butt out there and get real and get
It's
community.
It's always important. We say you got to take care of number one, and you could think that's selfish. Like, well, I don't have time to have a hobby. I have 2 jobs. I got kids. One's going to college. I have to put food on the table. It's like, I get all that, and you're doing everything you can, and it sounds like you think you're doing
Yeah.
everything you can right. But what Sean is saying, maybe what you have to be doing is a little less of some of that and a little more for you, like a hobby, so that
Right.
you can meet other people. Therefore, to have other influential people in your kids' lives, it's like a catch-22. It's a tough one.
And I get it. Some of you are saying, I'm just so introverted, or my spouse is so introverted, or I'm such a homebody,
The
or
TV shows are so good. I got to watch all of them.
right. I've already tried that, and people are jerks. Like, you're
Yeah.
just making up excuses right now for not making healthy choices. So I have a little list of reasons why, like, people don't do this and don't create a village. And
Okay.
this wasn't this what we're talking about right now. It wasn't even on the freaking list, man. And I'm kind of like upset right now because this is how millions of people are living every day in these isolated
Yeah.
bubbles, and they're missing out on community. You know, I went backpacking with 4 other men, and we just totally broed out and talked deep. We were sitting around a campfire, and I said to the guys, we were just laughing and talking about a lot of funny, silly stuff for hours. And then I felt like it was really appropriate. We're surrounded by this cathedral of granite, and it was just absolutely stunning scenery. The moon is full. And I said, you know what? I've got a great campfire question. Tell us about one of the worst days of your life. Tell us what happened. Tell me about one
You're
of the
going dark.
worst.
You're like, everyone's in a happy environment and euphoria, and you're like, let's talk about the worst experience
I
you've
did.
ever
I said, tell me about one of the worst days of your life.
Oh, my
And
God.
all the guys were like, that is awesome. Let's do it.
That's-
One guy even said, Sean, I like this about you. Because, you know, we were talking about a lot of silly stuff for a
It's true.
long
And you want to
time.
go deeper. Yeah.
Let me emphasize
Yeah.
long time. But you know what? I'm not trying to just have friends that just talk about, you know, freaking stepbrothers and music and
Right.
movies and our careers and fishing. And, you know, I want to go deep, right? And I want,
You-
right.
You got to know them on a level that you probably didn't before then. Like, let's say you've had a friend for 20 years and you had no idea something happened to him or her in childhood. Then you ask that question, it comes out, and you're like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
I feel so much
Yeah.
closer to you now because I had no
Totally.
idea you went through
Right.
that.
We had
But
no
not all
idea.
of us have friends like you. Like, you're great at that. Like, I mean, are you trying to say that it's in each and every one of us? We need to be that person that helps bring the best out of all of us.
I mean, this podcast is titled a parenting podcast, but isn't this podcast also like a self-improvement podcast? Aren't we trying to help people improve and be a
Right.
better, more loving, more wise version of themselves? So my reason number 2 of why we don't do this, I think really makes sense. It's the first thing I thought of. Why don't we speak into other kids' lives? I think the number one reason has got to be what we already talked about. Just our own fear of community, our own selfish calendaring, how we struggle with putting ourselves out there. You know, how maybe we don't have the skills, maybe we don't have the courage, but I think a big reason is we have a fear of being misunderstood. We're like,
Or maybe we are so judgmental that we think every other parental figure, whether it's an aunt, uncle, grandfather, teacher, whoever,
right?
could never do it as good as us.
It's a good
So
point
it's
too.
like-
Good point.
They're gonna teach my kids
Right.
something. My kid's gonna tell me what they learned from that, and I'm like, well, that's not right.
Right.
What are you listening to that idiot for, right? And we're too judgmental on how other people do that.
One of the ways you overcome your fears is you talk about them. So let's just keep talking. I think that's a totally great fear that people have. Like, who am I to try to parent this kid? Who am I?
Right.
I am not worthy enough. And I also think this fear of being misunderstood. Like, hey, are they going to think like I'm a creeper? I'm like spending time with this child, or am I coming down too harsh, or have I crossed the line? Like, there's like these invisible boundaries. Like, we've created a culture where so many good adults are afraid to be involved.
Well, and that's the big thing is like, all right, so let's be real for a second. As you get older in life, it can become harder and harder to make friends, right?
It's so true.
Maybe you move a lot. Maybe
Yeah.
you just it's just different. Like,
Yeah.
I've got friends, but like rarely do I call and talk to them on the phone. Like, we'll see each other when our
Right.
kids are at a birthday party. We'll hang out. We get along just fine. But it's like I don't have a deep relationship
Yeah.
with a lot of these people because let's say I try. Everyone's got families. They're busy.
Right.
They're not trying the same way I'm trying. I'm trying to give 100%. They're only giving 20%. I'm like, well, this isn't going anywhere. So it's almost like I don't want to. I have a fear of losing the only kind of friends I've got. Like
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
have that many, and none of
Right.
them are really deep. But at least I have a few, and I
Yeah.
can have fun on a weekend.
Yeah.
And I don't want to parent their kid because they might get mad at me, and I don't want to lose that.
It's just so true. So as soon as I'm talking to these boys and saying that line, well, I know you wouldn't do that. Everyone is silent and they're just
Oh, I
staring
bet.
at me. And
how-
I'm feeling uncomfortable now. Like, oh my gosh, am I making a mistake? Am I
Right.
crossed the line? Am I
Right.
about to get reprimanded by somebody or this boy's dad or this boy's mom or my own wife? And these are all reasons why people don't do it, because it's so easy to criticize anyone. It's so easy to point out you shouldn't have said that. In fact, you shouldn't have said that. And why did you say it that way? I just felt like this is the way I wanted to say it. I really wanted to give these boys an opportunity to tell the truth or lie, and they told the truth.
Which is cool. I hope you gave them kudos for telling the truth. But it's almost like in that situation, Sean, the psychological aspect of like you're trying to parent these kids, but you're also trying to let the parents know that you're not being too harsh. So it's almost like when they look down, you have to give them a wink, like, "Hey, I'm doing a little Sean Don stuff here." Hopefully, by this point, your friends know that they can expect that from you. But it's like, I'm not going to go too far. I know what I'm doing. I'm not trying to be mean. In this
Right.
moment, I might be a little stern, but I'm going to bring it back. It's almost
Right.
like you had to play both sides.
Right. I think a big part to this, like if I were to do action steps on how to speak well into another child's life, the first thing you need to write down, if you're taking notes at home, is you've got to earn the right to be heard. So one of these boys is, probably one of my best friend's sons. He's at my house probably once a week. I've known him for years. And the other boy, haven't known him long, but his family went on that Philippines service adventure trip.
Right.
And I played with this boy a lot in the sand. I hung out with him, and I feel like I've kind of earned the right to like, all right. And I feel like I've earned the trust of the parents, so they trust me well enough to know, like, I'm not going to be one of these parents like, oh, it's okay, guys. No, okay.
Right.
All right, well, I'll fix the tire myself. It's okay, which that would have, I think we'd all agree, that would have been more culturally appropriate for me just to minimize that they just totally disrespected me, my home, my daughter's toy, and they went defiantly right against what I told them to do, which is not cool.
Right. No, it's not. They came forward though after you gave them the awkward ultimatum.
Well, their mom walked him towards me, right?
Well, that's true.
So-
But they did tell the truth.
So I'll tell you what happened next in like little spurts. So what I said next is, okay, I want you guys to figure out what we can do here. What do you think we can do here? And like, I don't know. I was like, no, think about it. What are we going to do about this? And I said, I don't know. All right, well, why don't you guys go talk and figure out a plan and come back to me. Tell me what your plan is. How are you going to fix this? What do you think about that?
I think that is a step I would have not had them do. But
Right.
I think it's great because now they have to think about their consequences instead
Right.
of you just telling them
Exactly.
what their consequences are going to be.
Right.
As long as they play ball. Is there a situation where they just won't play ball? Because these kids play ball.
Well, I mean, that just tells you, do these kids like you? Do they respect you? And so
Okay.
they went away with the mom, and I'll tell you what happened next in a few minutes. But see, this is like, and just a shout out to all you non-drinkers. If I was been drinking 2 or 3 beers in, sitting in a jacuzzi, and everyone been drinking, I can't tell you with confidence I would have handled that well. Or,
That's true.
You know what I mean? So this is just another
Yeah.
shout out to another reason to why to not drink at all or to really limit your alcohol, especially when you're around children. So here's another cool stat from communitypsychology.com. They wrote an article called Natural Mentoring is Good for All Youth. Their research shows that 75% of young people identify a trusted non-parent as an adult. So 3/4 out of all adolescents identify one adult, at least one adult, besides their parent, who they trust and they go to for advice. So now I want you to ask yourself, my fellow adult listeners, are you one of those adults? And if you're not, what are you going to change? What are you going to change so you can become one of those adults?
Yeah, it's not even something that you can like ask the parents that you want to be that. I mean, you could. That's what some people do. The whole like, will you be their godparent? Like, not a true godparent, but like one that will be in their life forever and be a good role model. But it's more of just like asking yourself this question of what do I need to do better so that someone else would think of me in that way.
how do you spend more time with the children around you?
Right. Talk to them. Ask them how their day is
Enjoy
going. Maybe
them.
give them a call.
Right. Like, my next point is this, and I want to get your thoughts on this, because I feel like on this podcast, one of the images that I'd like to bring up is an image in my mind that I have. And I imagine myself as like either a Native American living in America or like living back in the homeland of Ireland with those homes where they have grass growing on the little
Yeah, stone homes, stone houses.
yeah,
with
stone
the little-
houses.
yeah,
And like
moss on the
these
roof.
communal living, right? You're living with your right next door to your grandparents, your parents, your aunts and uncles. And now we have a culture of Costco and radical individualism. And I think all this radical individualism, how we think, has really weakened this village. This whole like mind your own business. That's not my kid. Every family handles things differently. Like we used to raise kids in neighborhoods, and now we often raise them in these isolated homes.
Right. So I can tell you a story that just happened right before we did this podcast.
Yeah.
I took Kinlan to the pool. He was like, I really want to go swimming. I want to swimming. I'm like, okay, well, listen, but I have an hour before I'm going to hang out with Sean Donohue. Let's go swim, and then we'll come back, and then you got to go take Caden to gymnastics. Okay.
Nice.
All right.
Yeah.
Sounds good. So we get to the pool, and it's earlier in the day, and so there's no young kids there. Right now, there's just like a couple high school kids tanning. Some are in the pool. Just it's summertime right now when we're recording this, and so you got mainly the high school girls.
Yeah, yeah.
And me as a parent watching Kinlan play by himself in the pool. I'm not getting wet because I'm like, I got to meet Sean soon. I don't want to take a shower. Like, I'm not going to get wet right now. And so he's just playing by himself. And he's like, can I go play with the toy? I'm like, sure. Yeah, it's not yours. You can go and ask them if you can borrow it. So he runs over. Excuse me, can I, borrow? I'm like, good job, buddy. Then he starts talking to all these kids, teenage girls. Hi, how are you? And I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, okay. I'm like, I hope he's not bothering them. They just want to hang out. They're hanging out with each other. But I was like, Jordan, shut up. This is good for him and this is good for them.
Yeah,
right?
buddy.
And so I was like, let him talk to them. So I had to go against my parental advice in my mind of like, no, you don't talk to adults. They don't want to be bothered. They don't want to be talked to. They just want to sit and listen to their music and read a book, right? And what I think now is I come back to Danny. I'm like, dude, to my wife, I'm like, Kinlan is a chick magnet. This kid is out there talking to all these high school girls.
Yes.
They're loving him and they're being so kind to him and they're talking to him and having conversation.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's like we've got a society that doesn't want to bother anybody. So we're
Right.
like, let's shelter everybody. Shh, don't
Yeah.
talk, be quiet. And instead, we need kind of the opposite. Kids
Yes.
need to, us parents need to allow kids to go out on a limb and say hi to their neighbors and go
Yes.
talk to others and bug people to a point,
Right.
and then you can rein them in later.
Love it, dude. I love it. Let me give you a few general tips, and then I'll give you some specific tips for everyone. Is that okay? Here's some practical
Yes.
advice. When you're with these children, your nieces, your nephews, your kids' friends, ask them questions. What do you like to do for fun? What's your favorite YouTuber?
That's a great tip.
Be interested in
YouTuber,
listening.
that's good.
Listening to them, just getting to know them. Just ask them questions. Be kind. Be generous with your home and your turkey sandwiches. Laugh at their jokes. Try to appreciate them. Don't say anything negative about them or their parents or other friends. And then if you do want to talk, if they do open up, just listen well, and maybe say some things like this. Have you talked to your mom about that? I think your dad's just trying to maybe help you. I think your parents just really love you. So you're not creating like a competitive environment between you and their parents. You're a member of the village, and you're supporting the parents, and you're supporting the family goals. Right? Does that sound good?
That sounds good. Can I ask you a question that would take it a step farther?
Yeah.
If one of those kids tells me something that I know that their parents don't know, should I keep that between me and the kid? Should I go and alert the parent?
Oh, that's such a tough one.
That's a tough one.
Here's what I do, and here's what I teach all my team members to do. If somebody tells you something really dark or really scary, you want to ask them, have you really told your parents? I really think you should. And then from there, you got two good options. One is the next time you have that conversation with that child or teenager,
Okay.
ask them again, hey, have you told your parents yet? Because hopefully they won't say, don't tell my parents this. And then if they do say that, say, I can't make you that promise, because that is just not a good thing. And then if they do end up saying something really, 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 really scary, here's a great line. Remember this. You know what? I need you to tell your parents or I will. There you go.
So you'd rather do that than build the relationship up a little more with that student, let's say, to allow the conversation to continue in the future.
You have to prioritize the adult relationship and be an adult and not a child. Yeah.
That's great advice. No, that's really good advice.
You have to. If you need to tell your parents or I will, if they tell you something really dangerous or scary, or they're on a bad path, drugs or secrecy, they open up to you because they trust you. And of course, it's super complicated stuff. But this is why we don't do it, because it's so complicated. So let me give you a few concrete tips on how to do this well, so it's not so complicated. Okay. So the first concrete tip I want to tell you is ask the parent, hey, do you mind if I say something to your son? Hey, would it be okay with you if I talk to your daughter about this?
Okay.
So I didn't do that in this situation with this family. I just went for it. But in hindsight,
because sometimes you're in the moment. Let's be real. Sometimes you're in the moment. You don't have that opportunity to ask the parents ahead of time.
So number two is, remember, these are kids and teens. You want them to like you. So really start off with some nice, soft startups and some kind words. So say, look, this is what I did with the boys. Guys, I love that you're playing with the car. I buy all these toys because I don't have any sons. And I have these toys because I want you guys here. I love you guys. I love having you play with all of my stuff. I was a kid. I was a little boy too one time. And I care about you. All right?
I still am a little boy deep down inside. Yeah, no, that's good. That's good.
Number three, don't just try to fake it. Do you. If you're a loud Italian, then be a loud Italian. If you're a quiet, nerdy type, then be quiet, nerdy. There's no right, just be you. Right?
Okay. Yeah.
Right.
To a point, right?
Sure.
It's like if I'm normally, I got the mouth like a sailor. I can't do that in front of 7, 8-year-olds. I gotta tone it down.
That's
I gotta tone it down a little bit.
Yeah. I remember about a year ago we had a podcast where I was it was all about parenting other people's kids, and I did a ton of that on our family camping trip with 6 families. Well, this year's trip, it's coming up in a month, Jordan. There's 11 families going.
Oh my gosh, dude! How do you have the capacity?
There's going to be a big group site, kids everywhere. I'm bringing the pontoon, bringing tons of toys. There's going to be a lot of drama that I'll be able to tell you about parenting other people's kids on that trip. So this is a good idea too. Is ask them how are you going to fix this? How are you going to make amends? So here's what I did with the boys. So then I went over there to check in on them. They were in my garage.
Long? You gave 15 minutes?
Yeah, about 15 minutes.
Okay.
So I came to check in on them, and I said, all right, boys, what's your plan? And now you got the mom is there, the 2 boys, and 5 other kids listening to this.
Okay. Now, was the mom playing, she knew you were, this was all fun and games, or was she getting a little stressed too? Oh my gosh, Sean is so mad. We have to remedy this. I'm just going to give him money. You know what I'm saying?
The mom
how is she?
Is a highly, highly skilled leader and school teacher.
Okay, awesome.
So she actually had both these boys in her class last year.
Okay.
And one of these boys was her son. So she is highly, highly respected in the community. Very great balance of a nice, sweet, feminine woman with also a strong leader woman. And so I just hope that she had my back and she was supporting me. And she did. I think we kind of a dream team. She helped the boys process. So I walk up to the boys, and one of the boys, the more talkative one, was still pretty nervous. He was so all right, boys, what's your plan? He's well, my mom owes me some money from this one thing. And so I looked it up because the tire is broken, and I looked it up online, and it's $30. So I was thinking that I could give you that money to pay for the tire.
Hey, that's an opportunity. Okay, he came up with a plan. That's a great plan. I think that's
amazing plan.
Responsible. It's very adult-like. Good job, dude.
Amazing.
Thank you. Yes.
5 stars.
Yeah.
5 stars to the mom who probably helped him come up with that.
Yeah.
You know? And then she
Yeah.
actually cut that boy off, and she turned to the more quiet boy and
Okay.
says, all right, do we have any, you want to explain the plan? Do you have any other ideas? And he said, I don't know.
Typical, man. This is so typical.
Right. So then I looked at the tire and I realized that the tire was already broken. And so I said, guys, this tire was already broken. That's why I was telling you not to put 2 people on it, because it's already broken. I had to go to the hardware store to fix it a bunch of times. I had to jimmy rig it, which I had a pretty good job of jimmy rigging it back on, MacGyver style. And so they're like, oh, it was already broken? I said, yeah. All right, so, okay, so I love that idea. How does this sound? I will try to fix this on my own, so you don't have to give me your $30, but thank you. And I'll check in with you in a week when you guys come for my 4th of July party, and it'll probably all be fixed. And here's what I need you to do, okay? All I need you to do is when you're ready, in your own way, here's what I want you to do. I want you to look at me and say, hey, Mr. Sean, I'm really sorry that we broke the car and we did what, we weren't supposed to do. How can I make this right? Okay, boys, I'm going to show you 2 more times. We're going to practice 2 more times. All you got to do in your own way is you got to say, Mr. Sean, I'm really sorry that we did exactly what you told us not to do, and we broke Kenzie's car. How can I fix this, and how do I make it right? Okay, here's my 3rd example, boys. Listen closely. All you got to do is look me in the eye in your own way. You just got to say, I'm really sorry, Sean. We really screwed up. We didn't listen to you. We totally disobeyed, and we broke the car. How can we fix this, and how do we make this right? All right, that's all you got to do. Are you ready? Yeah, and then they did it.
And they did it.
And I gave them high fives and hugs.
High fives.
I said, that's awesome. You did it, boys. Look, I make mistakes all the time. And when you make a mistake, you just got to own it. And all you got to say is, I'm really sorry. I screwed up. You got to own your stuff, own your choices, and then say, how can I make this right? And great job. And
that's something that they will take with them forever. They will
I hope so.
Understand how to apologize and step up to the plate when they do something that's wrong. Like, I still remember to this day, I was in Oregon, stopped by a pizza joint. Some dude came in and said, hey, who owns the Corolla? I accidentally backed into it. Here's my insurance card. He could have just drove away.
Yep.
He knew, like, I made a mistake.
Yep.
I got to go do what's right, and how can I fix it?
One of my favorite lines from this whole podcast was that story you told about finding coins in a couch.
In the cushion couch.
And of all the stories you could have told, because you've been surrounded by these awesome uncles, you've been surrounded by great men your whole life, and that's the story you told.
That's one of the earliest memories I have when it comes to advice. And I think I have that for a lot of different, let's say, parental figures.
Yeah, right.
With my stepdad, Hilton,
Right.
the ocean comes to mind, and how to survive the movement of the ocean. It's just who, and it's fun to, like, think back. Like, if you're an adult listening, think back to the earliest advice you were ever given that wasn't from your parents. And, like, who was it from? Was it an uncle? Right. Was it to be kind? Like, what was it? It was obviously stuck with you this whole time, but maybe you forgot about it until just now.
It makes me, I'm gonna make fun of old people for a second. Forgive me if this is rude. It kind of makes me feel a little sad of how many crusty old people there are out there that are retired, and all they do is watch the news all day long and argue. When you can get off your crusty old butt and you can get down there and go hang out with some children and love on them and mentor them and share your wisdom with them and volunteer and laugh. So go down to your local church, get out to your Boys and Girls Club, get on a board of one of these nonprofits and share your expertise, share your money, and get around kids and just love on them and be a kid again. The greatest compliment you can give a child isn't like you're fun or you're smart. It's when they grow up and they say, you made a difference in my life. Every child deserves a parent who loves them, and every child deserves to be around a village who loves them and believes in them.
Yeah. And no matter if a child has a parental figure or has 30 other parental figures, you could never have enough. You could have so many more, right? We're all getting influence all the time, and every kid needs as many as they can have.
Let's do a quick little recap of stuff that we went through here today, because we talked about a lot of really, really, really good things. All right. So here are some tips on how to be a great influence in a child's life who's not your own child. One is you got to earn the right to be heard. Spend time listening to that child, that teenager. Ask them questions. Be fun. Like, have a vibe where they enjoy being around you, where you're earning the right to speak into their life. 75% of young people say that they had at least one adult that really mentored them and really cared about them. Realize that we are scared to speak into other people's lives, and it takes a village to raise a child. It sounds good, but we struggle with that because we live in this radical individual society. We're afraid to even mentor our own nieces, our own nephews, to speak into our grandchildren's life, to speak up, have the courage, speak up, and use loving words of wisdom and guidance to mold and shape the children that are in your community. That is the moral of today's story. Thanks so much for letting Jordan and I be a part of your life. Jordan, I thought it was really fun that we did that today.
Dude, I had a great time. And that story was epic. So thank you for sharing that and giving us an idea of some of us could have thought that was too far from a parental perspective, but it wasn't. I think you taught them so much in that moment, and that was fantastic.
Thanks, buddy. Stay strong, be close, and teach wisdom. We'll see you guys in the next episode or inside of my VIP membership. Much love.